We've been talking all week long about the raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate by the FBI. And there now are starting to be some details filtering out. I saw the Wall Street Journal and talked about it on the Clay and Buck show, just as the radio show we just finished, walk you through some of the details associated with what are reportedly being seized there. And what you can see is that this is shaping up as a battle over whether any of these documents were declassified or not. And if they're declassified, then you can't call them classified documents. And let me explain what I mean. The president has the authority to declassify documents as he sees fit while he is in office. Trump declassified a massive tranche of documents in the final days of his presidency. And when he declassified those documents, that then meant that, it's not a shocker, they're no longer classified. That's what declassified means. And so this is not a new argument he's been making. We actually had Kash Patel, who was one of the people in charge of helping to look over this process, on with us on the Clay and Buck show back in May. And he said pretty straightforward that Trump had declassified almost all of these documents that were at question. And certainly Trump wasn't acting like he was trying to hide these from the FBI. In fact, they went and visited with Trump in June and reviewed the documents that he had there. And so a lot is not adding up here. But I do think this is significant because the battle is definitely setting up as if it will be over whether or not these documents were classified. And I suspect the vast majority of media are going to cover this as if these were classified documents as opposed to being declassified. So Donald Trump just went on Truth Social. By the way, in addition to being on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, I'm on Truth Social. I'm also on Rumble. We're everywhere, basically. But Trump posted this on Truth Social. Number one, it was all declassified. Number two, they didn't need to seize anything. They could have had it anytime they wanted without playing politics and breaking into Mar-a-Lago. It was in secured storage with an additional lock put on as per their request. They could have had it anytime they wanted, and that includes long ago. All they had to do was ask. The bigger problem is, what are they going to do with the 33 million pages of documents, many of which are classified, that President Obama took to Chicago? And so, look, what I think is setting up here quite clearly is a battle over whether or not these documents were classified. And before I get there, I want to dive into this issue. Most crimes require two parts. Most crimes in the United States. An actus rea, that is an act, and a mens rea, that is an intent. Okay? So if you're out there and you're wondering, hey, was a crime committed or not, it requires an act and an intent to commit a crime. Now, there's some small measure of exceptions for strict liability offenses. A strict liability offense means it's a crime if you did it no matter what. I'll give you an example of a strict liability crime. Age of consent. You could be at the bar, dancing your way around. You're having an amazing time. You're 25 years old. Hot girl comes up to you in the bar, says, hey, you want to dance? You make out with her. You hook up with her. Turns out she was 16 years old. Record scratch moment. And you could say, wait a minute. She was in a bar. She had a beer. She had a fake ID. In many jurisdictions, if you are over the age of consent, you're an adult, and you consent with someone under the age of consent, that is a strict liability crime. And so the fact that you saw her in a bar with a beer and you thought that she was of age, certainly thought that she was at least 18 or over, in many jurisdictions, that is a strict liability offense, and you could be charged with a crime. Okay? That's an example of strict liability. You might have done the act, but your intent to do the act was not there. The intent doesn't matter. I'm not an expert in presidential documents, and anyone who claims to be an expert who is a lawyer probably isn't, because there aren't that many presidential document experts. But I think Trump is going to have, in the event that there's ever any criminal charges discussed here, I think Trump is going to have an argument that he didn't intend to actually create a crime here because he had declassified everything. And that ties in with this defense, which is going to be, there's no crime here because I declassified all of these documents in the first place. Also, let's think here for a moment. We've gone from Donald Trump led the insurrection, Donald Trump colluded with Russia, Donald Trump is the greatest threat to democracy ever, to Donald Trump took some documents down to Mar-a-Lago, which were padlocked inside of that place, and that is the crime we're going to get him for. I'm not even sure they're going to bring any charges here. And again, Merrick Garland cannot be in charge of this investigation. He has to recuse himself. But we are now to the position where everybody watching January 6th is like, this guy needs to be charged with insurrection. This is sedition. This is, oh, he took some documents that he claims he declassified, which were actually classified. That's where we are. That's where we have descended to now. And I just want to remind you that left-wingers out there bought into Robert Mueller's going to end the Trump presidency. They bought into impeachment 1, impeachment 2, the January 6th hearings. And now they're all the way down the rabbit hole, and their savior is he had a few documents that were classified inside of Mar-a-Lago, which is something, by the way, if you pay attention to history at all, it feels like almost every president has had this issue because they all try to create their own presidential libraries and they want as much original documents as they can there. So this feels very strange. Okay, a couple of other things. They said this was a national security issue. Well, they got the warrant on Friday of last week and didn't execute it until Monday. If it's a national security issue, why'd they let it go through the weekend? I just tossing it out there. If you're really afraid of national security issues, why would you wait the whole weekend to go in after you got the warrant? And again, I circle back to what suggestion is there that they couldn't have got these documents without needing to raid with 20 different FBI agents in order to get them back? Trump himself came down and met with the agents when they came to Mar-a-Lago before. What suggestion is there that a major crime is going on here? Frankly, this feels incredibly desperate, and I think is further evidence of what's going to happen, in my humble opinion, the humblest man I know, is this is going to be like Charlie Brown and Lucy all over again. Blue checks are so excited. They're running full speed. Oh, they've got him. He's done for. There's no hope. And then, right as they think they're about to kick the football, Lucy pulls the football back. Charlie Brown swings and misses, and they're all laying there on the ground, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in the world happened that ended up to keep them from being able to get their great white whale, Donald Trump, guilty of something. So pay attention to this, but that is where I think we are headed. We are going to see a battle over whether or not this is permissible as it pertains to classified versus declassified, and you're already seeing the leaks coming out, what exactly they might have been searching for, and they said it was nuclear codes or whatever, nuclear documents. What, is Trump going to build a nuclear bomb at Mar-a-Lago? Are we unclear what's necessary in order to build a nuclear bomb? Do we really think that Trump was running around with the nuclear codes for the last 18 months and they didn't go get them? Either they had no idea that there were nuclear documents missing, which seems like a big deal. Maybe they should. Or they knew they were missing and waited 18 months to go get them, which also seems like a mess. Now, Trump has weighed in. Nuclear weapons issue is a hoax, just like Russia. Russia was a hoax. 2 impeachments were a hoax. The Mueller investigation was a hoax, and much more. Same sleazy people involved. Why wouldn't the FBI allow the inspection of areas at Mar-a-Lago with our lawyers or others present? Made them wait outside in the heat, wouldn't let them get even close, said absolutely not. Planting information anyone reminds me of the Christopher Steele dossier. So that is that story. Okay, so that is Mar-a-Lago. I'm sure we're going to continue to cover it, but that is the latest, trying to put it in context in a larger scale for you.